Today on the podcast, well, welcome to the Kansas City Podcast. I'm your host, Cole Lindberg. Many of you know me as the guy who is about to break some news, and well, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. If you saw the title of today's episode, yes, I have some news. You are listening to the last episode of the Kansas City Podcast. Now, there's a long version of this. There's a short version of this. I will do my best to try to explain here over the next couple minutes what's going on, what my thought process is, and why you are listening to the final episode basically right now at this moment. So this is going to be tough. So let's think about it like this. I have absolutely loved doing this podcast. And I know to many of you, this is going to be a surprise. Hey, we just had our 50th episode, and, I was talking like, hey, we got to keep this thing going, and I totally was on board with doing that and excited about doing that, and finding guests is not a problem. There's so many people that, I can reach out to be on the show, and I'm kind of at I'm at a weird crossroads right now. The last few weeks of, the last couple months of my life have been just kind of crazy, and so I'm making a hard, tough decision today on ending the show. And I've been the host of this show now for 56 episodes. We've done it a little over a year, and I know we're growing in popularity, and there's more people that are listening, and so I feel bad because I feel like we were starting to really get going, and now I'm pulling the plug, and it's tough, but I want to break down just a couple of the things, and I'm trying not to ramble too much, but this is just, there's so many thoughts going on. So, as many of you know, I started this podcast as another creative outlet for me, and that's what I've always been about. I've always either been playing music or making silly videos, or speaking in front of people, or just trying. I've had so many projects and so many things that I've done over the past. We're looking at 6-7 years, 8 years that I've just been involved and always been working and always doing so many things. And, the idea of having a podcast or being on a podcast, it was something that I've always wanted to do and something that I've always had a passion for. I mean, I listen to podcasts all the freaking time. I listen to them on my way to work every single day. And so the idea of having my own podcast was something that had been batting around for at least 4 to 5 years. And it wasn't until my friend Matt B. Davis in Atlanta, and he started the Atlanta podcast, and I thought, hey, this could be a good idea. I do the Kansas City podcast, and, I finally went all in on it because I never really found that right idea that was right for me. I was like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about that. But the idea of going out and interviewing people and talking to people was very intriguing to me. And it was a challenge for me. And to see if I could put together some type of coherent show that people would listen to. And not only that, but the challenge of finding some fun and engaging people. And I'm lucky that I know a lot of people, and I've gotten to meet even more through this podcast. And to go out into Kansas City and all around the city and meet a bunch of different people and record interviews and have fun has been a great joy. It has been a blast. I have enjoyed every second of that. There's no part of my day, whether I'm recording an interview early Saturday morning or a Sunday afternoon, or a Monday morning. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter the time. It didn't matter the place. I would always go with a smile on my face, and I was happy to be out interviewing people. And one thing that, I didn't realize that the podcast would have some sort of effect on me. And this has really kind of started to bubble up over the last several months. And something I didn't realize is that, it would really inspire me, seeing all these people doing all these amazing, wonderful things has really inspired me. And it's really made me kind of take a inventory on what is important to me and what are the things that I want to do. And there's a lot of things that on my list that I want to do. And not only that, I've had a list that's been growing and growing and growing for years and years and years. And the other part that along with the inspiration that I'm getting from these people, the other thing that's started to become very apparent to me is how valuable time is. Because I have found myself late at night either working on a podcast or working on something and, waking up bright and early the next morning, going back to work, coming back home, working on something else, working on the yard. I mean, there's always something to be done. And I'm realizing that the things that I truly, really want to do, my big lifelong dreams, I need to do them. I see people going and doing all these wonderful things, and they're following their dreams, and they're doing it. And I'm happy to be a person there supporting them and telling their story. But there's things that I still want to do. And it's hard because I love doing the podcast, but for me to go and do all these things that I want to do, there are other sacrifices that have to be made. And sadly, the podcast is one of them. And, 2018 for me has been just a hell of a year. It has tried and tested me both personally and professionally. There were a lot of things that have happened, especially in the last several months, that, those of you that know me personally know that there's just a lot going on. And I don't want to waste any more time not doing the things that I really want to do. And I love doing this show. It's been a great joy to do it. But the time that I have available to me, I can't devote any more time to the podcast. And that's it's hard to say because I feel like it's kind of a cop-out because I'm being kind of not saying what it is I want to go do, But just know that it's a really hard decision to leave things that you love and do things that you love. And I don't, ending this show has been something that's very personal for me because I have enjoyed it so much and it has been a great thing. And I think it's a perfect outlet for me in talking to people and, doing the things that I love to do. I mean, I spent so many years at Worlds of Fun, getting up in front of people and talking to them and guessing their age, weight, or birthday, or trying to get them to throw a ball in the can. And I mean, all I did all day long was conversation. And I got away from that for a while when I left Worlds of Fun, and now, to be able to go out over the past year and interview all these people and talk to people, it's really ignited a fire back inside of me that was gone for a couple years, and it feels really nice. But at the end of the day, I have to make a decision that's best for me. And there are some amazing podcasts out there that are Kansas City based, that do interview Kansas City people. I can't say enough how much I enjoy Taco the Town. I think Taco the Town is a great podcast. If you have not listened to Taco the Town, go for it. Kansas City is a great podcast. The Chalkboard is a great podcast. Nerds of Nostalgia is a great podcast. I'm sure I'm missing some. Anything on Fountain City Frequency is wonderful. KCUR, Central Standard, does some great stuff. So there is no lack of people out there talking about Kansas City and talking about our city. That exists. It's out there. It can be fine. I'm not doing anything new here or revolutionary. So I hope that, if you are a listener of this show and you enjoy hearing people talk about Kansas City or just unique, interesting people, you'll seek out some of those other podcasts. I'm really going to miss this show. I'm really going to miss the people that I've gotten to know. I'm going to really miss, calling up old friends and saying, hey, what do you want to be on the show? I mean, I got to reconnect with some very old friends that I hadn't seen in quite some time, and sit down with them and talk about things that they were doing. And it made me feel... it was great, and you could probably hear it in the episodes, which sometimes there's easier conversations than others. But I mean, if I'm going to sit there and write a silly play to perform with my old friend Derek Troutwine, that's the stuff that to me is silly. Or go to the Rhino and hang out with Ben Wint, or even get to see my old friend Sean Van Horn and see his success at Freight House Fitness, or Peyton and Darren and they're making balloons. I mean, these are all people that I either worked with or have known through college, like Annie Harrigan, someone I went to college with. There are all these people, but on top of that, there are a bunch of people that I have met that I never, if I would have known them sooner in my life, I'm sure we would have been great friends. And, but to get to know them now and get to have them on the show and them use the show as a jumping point or another way to promote themselves makes me incredibly happy. It makes me very happy. There are some people I need to thank. I need to send a special thank you to my beautiful wife, Maria, she was on our birthday show. She's a total blast. She's the most amazing person in the entire world, and I love her very, very much. And she's been nothing but supportive of this show. If I said to her, hey, I can't go to this because I'm going to record an interview, she is full on board for that. She says, hell yeah, go for it. She listens to every episode and tells me what she thinks. And there's things that she has learned from this episode, from the episodes. There are things that, have helped her in her business. I can't thank her enough for being supportive. I want to thank my friend Matt B. Davis in Atlanta. Matt, thank you so much for pushing me to do a podcast. I really appreciate it, and I know I'll be talking to you soon. And if you are a fan of obstacle course racing, I would recommend Matt's podcast, the Obstacle Racing Media podcast. If you want to hear his version, the Atlanta podcast, that is out there as well. Thank you, Matt. I want to thank all the guests who have been on the show. We've had over 50 people. There's been a couple repeats, but once you add them all up with sometimes 2 guests on the show, we've had over 50, I think we're 60 some odd people. And all walks of life, all over the Kansas City area. And I just want to thank all of them for taking the time to be on the show and really inspiring me. And I am so appreciative, and I cannot wait to see what some of you do next. And I want to thank anyone who's reached out to me about the show. The folks who have written reviews or liked our Facebook page, follow me on Instagram or Twitter and all that type of stuff. Thank you so much for interacting with me and letting me know what you think of the show. Even if you wrote a bad review, like that guy who said I have a horrible voice, thank you. And of course, I want to thank all the listeners of this show. If you have listened to this show, and whether you have listened to one episode, 20 episodes, all the episodes, I just want to thank you for listening and subscribing. And, I do this show not only for just myself, but, the show doesn't exist if people don't listen to it. So thank you so much to all of our listeners. It's going to be an interesting time for me, but, I wouldn't say, work-wise, work is work, but, artistically and the things that I'm working on and the things that I'm doing, I feel like I always have some new project in the works, and it's exciting to me that I do have more projects in the works, but I feel like I can cross podcast off my list. Podcast was there, and I feel like I went and did it and succeeded and enjoyed it and loved it, and I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to move on to my next thing and my next dream and my next idea. And the website and the episodes will stay up and active for the foreseeable future. They're not going anywhere. So, if you just start listening to the show, there's a bunch of back episodes to listen to. If you listen to them, 56 episodes, you skip the middle parts. You could listen to them all in 2 days if you don't get any sleep. And so they will all stay up, and the website's not going anywhere. I don't know. I hope I have explained myself well. I was worried that the reasoning behind why I'm ending the show was not going to be sufficient enough, because I feel like I owe it to the people that have supported this show and listened to explain to them why I'm not going to do the show anymore. So I hope that it's come across as to why I'm ending the show. I love the show. I've said this so many times now. I love the show, and I'm going to miss it very much, but there are just so many other things that I want to do, and I'm going to embrace those next projects and those next things with big open arms and wave a fond farewell to the Kansas City podcast. And it's hard. It's hard. So, with that being said, I think I'm done rambling. I've rambled for like 20 minutes now. This is what people want in podcasts, right? They want the guy that just sits there like and just starts talking and going on. No. This is hard for me. I need someone to bounce off of. Thank you so much to all the listeners of this show. I appreciate it so much. You have no idea. And thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting the show. And, follow me on Twitter at Cole Lindberg. I'm always, if there's something new that comes up, it'll probably be there. On Instagram, I'm there too. Or you could find me on Facebook. That's it. That's all I got. So, thank you for listening to the Kansas City podcast. Thank you for the last year of being supportive of the show. Thank you. I can't thank you all enough. Life is way too short to spend countless hours each day unhappy. And if you are out there and you are finding something or you're not sure what you want to do with your life, or not sure what the thing is going to be that's going to make you happy, well, find it and pursue it and go after it like a bull, with your eyes on the prize, and you never know what'll happen. But don't sit and be complacent. Go out, find that thing, and pursue it for all you can. This is Cole Lindberg. Thank you for listening to the show. I will talk to you soon. I don't know. I will. I just thank you. Thank you for listening and enjoying the show.